most powerful thought for today. First of all, I'd like to say that people who come to me for counseling, they always come with some kind of problem. I've never had anybody come pay me a fee and tell me just how great life is for them. But they come with a problem that they either want to solve, get rid of, escape from, etc. They're really in a problem orientation. And they're coming to me for my expertise to help them get rid of this problem. Now, what's interesting about a problem is that when I focus on a problem, whether it be a business problem, a parent-child problem, a marital problem, whatever, that problem in my mind produces anxiety and sometimes fear, where I either want to fight the problem, attack it head on, or I want to flee from the problem, to numb out, to get away, or I might even want to just do nothing, kind of freeze right there, hoping the problem will go away. What I want to share with you today is a way out of this terrible situation. I'd like for you to read David Emerald's book, The Power of TED, The Power of capital T-E-D. It's excellent, in which he uses Steve Cartman's drama triangle. Steve is a psychiatrist in California who I think in 1960 developed what was called the Cartman drama triangle, the problem triangle, which David Emerald later calls the dreadful drama triangle of persecutor, rescuer, victim. The drama triangle is victim-oriented, problem-oriented, anxiety-oriented. In one of my training seminars, I brought a Fizz B. And most of you know what a Fizz B is. And I threw the Fizz B at them, and I said to them, would someone be kind enough to pick up my Fizz B? They said, that's not a Fizz B, that's a Frisbee. I said, oh no, this is a Fizz B. That F-I-S-B-E. It is a Fizz B. And somebody said, what on earth does Fizz B stand for? Well, it stands for it's a model, a mental model for the most part. And I'll go over that with you very briefly. The F in Fizz B stands for what I focus on. If I focus on a problem, not only do I become a part of the problem, but the problem produces in me an inner state. That's the F-I-S, or a mental state of anxiety, or fear, anger, you name it, complaint. And because of that anxiety, all depending on the degree of anxiety, that the anxiety drives my BE, my behavior. So the Fizz B stands for what I focus on, it is a problem, produces in me my IS, inner state, mental state of anxiety, fear, whatever, and that is the anxiety, not the problem, that drives my behavior. I can think of several examples in my own life where the problem was unbearable, produced a lot of anxiety. And what would I do? I would usually flee. I'm not a fighter, so I wouldn't fight and confront the situation. But what I did a lot of times was flee to the nearest tavern where I could numb out. And the tavern or the alcohol became my rescuer, a way of fleeing from the problem. Well, let me say this to you. We either look at a glass of water either as half full or half empty. Looking at it as half empty, we're really involved in Steve Cartman's drama triangle, which David Emerald calls the dreadful drama triangle, DDT. If some of you know history or are aware of it, that DDT used to be a pesticide that the FDA outlawed because it was so toxic. Well, the drama triangle, the dreadful drama triangle, is a toxic brew of relationships, all of which are loser positions and relationships. Within that, there are three characters within the drama triangle: persecutor, rescuer, and victim. Give you an example of how this works. When I was working at a head injury group outside of Nashville, I got off a little early, around 3 in the afternoon, so I went home, and on my way home I thought, gee, I just want a hug from my wife. Didn't want sex, just a hug. So when I came in, there she was, glued to the TV, watching her afternoon soap. So I said, hey, how are you? And I didn't even get an answer. I said, how are you? Fine. I was really angry because I wanted a hug. So I went to the kitchen, playing the victim. Poor me, why didn't she give me a hug? Well, she came out. And do you know when she came out? During commercial. I didn't get prime time. But she came out and she said, well, how are you? I quickly went from playing the victim to persecutor. Yeah, I can see you haven't done the laundry yet, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, and whatever. What she did was confront me. She said, what is your problem? I said, I want to know why you haven't done this work. All you've done is watch TV. No, she said, what is your problem? Well, my problem is that I wanted a hug when I came in. Well, why didn't you ask me? Well, if I had asked you, would I have gotten a hug? No, not until commercial. So, anyway, had I told her, I want a hug, and she said, let's wait till commercial, I would have been fine. I'd have done whatever. But had she not confronted me, she would have said, oh, yes, I should have done the laundry, I should have cleaned the bedroom, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then she would have been fed up with that for a while, and then she would have gone from being victimized to persecuting me, saying, yeah, how many times have I asked you to mow the lawn? How many times have I asked you to take out the garbage? So anyway, that just goes on and on. That it's called a symbiotic relationship between the victim and the persecutor. And what does a victim desperately need to stay a victim? A persecutor. And what does a persecutor desperately need to stay a persecutor? A victim. And a victim also needs a rescuer to relieve himself or herself from the anxiety that is produced because of the problem. And that becomes the rescuer, whether it be alcohol, whatever it might be. Anyway, you try to escape temporarily and to reduce and minimize the anxiety. Now, this orientation is called the victim orientation, the problem orientation. 98.99% of us have entered into this dreadful drama triangle of persecutor, rescuer, victim many times in our life. As a matter of fact, it seems to be our default program. If you look at our mind and our heart, and so as a computer, sometimes the software screws up the system to where the computer will hardly run. And a lot of times we don't know what's causing the problem. We may think it's a software problem. We don't know. A lot of times we try to fix it, and a lot of times we cannot fix it, and we have to take our computer off to a computer person to fix it. Well, the default program within most of us is the dreadful drama triangle of persecutor, rescuer, victim. And that's why we do not run that well, using the computer analogy again. And that we need to fix the software, we need to cleanse the hard disk, we need to start over again. We may even have a restore point going back a few weeks that we might use. And that's true in our lives too, where we may need to go to a friend and say, you know, I am really troubled, worried, fearful, and I need some help. Can you help me? Because much like the computer, I cannot fix myself. I need someone who can help me. But anyway, today I wanted to discuss this Fizz B. If I focus on the problem, I become part of the problem, and the problem produces within me anxiety, fear, anger, complaint. And it is the anxiety that drives my behavior. And so if I look at it as a triangle, problem, anxiety equals reaction. Because the dreadful drama triangle, I love that word, when we get involved in that, it's always reactive. We're reacting to something. It's a reactive situation where we want to either fight, flee, or freeze and do nothing. Well, I hope this has helped you some. I'd love for you to be able to look at the situations in your life where you have been either a victim, a persecutor, or a rescuer. By the way, those three characters do not have to be persons. The persecutor could be a condition or a circumstance in life. A condition like perhaps cancer, a circumstance like Katrina or bankruptcy or losing one's house. And we see this all the time, that the rescuer doesn't have to be a person. It can be a thing, a situation, a substance, or anything that we use to reduce the anxiety in our life. But unfortunately, it doesn't last. That when we're in that drama triangle, it's much like a roller coaster. We may have temporary cessation from the anxiety, fear, etc. But it keeps coming back. Now, what is the answer? How is it possible to get out of this? How to escape and to be able to find freedom, purpose, and potential, high potential. When I say potential, I'm talking about a potential that we have within ourselves to not look at the glass as half empty, but to see it as half full. So tomorrow, I will share with you how to move, how to escape from the dreadful drama triangle into a new way of looking and thinking of situations in your life. The good news is you don't have to stay where you are. The good news is you don't have to run from what you don't like and try to get rid of what you don't like. The good news is that even in that situation, there can be freedom, release, and liberty. Please feel free to call me and we'll share about this. My number is 803-422-4306 or email me. Would love to hear from you. My email is dr for doctor, no dot after the R, drdavid, one word, drdavid .watkins, watkins, @gmail.com. Please reflect on what we talked about today, for this is food for thought. Take care and have a great day, and God bless.